దూరవిద్యా విధానంలో డాక్టర్ బిఆర్ అంబేద్కర్ ఓపెన్ యూనివర్సిటీ దేశంలోనే మొట్టమొదటి సార్వత్రిక విశ్వవిద్యాలయం. దాదాపు 2.5 దశాబ్దాలుగా దూరవిద్యా విధానం ద్వారా కంప్యూటర్ కోర్సును అనుసంధానం చేస్తూ బీఏ, బీకాం, బీఎస్సీ డిగ్రీ కోర్సులను అందిస్తోంది. పోస్ట్ గ్రాడ్యుయేషన్ స్థాయి, డిగ్రీ, డిప్లొమా స్థాయి కోర్సులను ఔత్సాహికులైన విద్యార్థులకు అందిస్తోంది. డాక్టర్ బిఆర్ అంబేద్కర్ సార్వత్రిక విశ్వవిద్యాలయం స్థానికంగా స్వయం బోధనా పద్ధతిలో ముద్రణ రూపంలో రూపొందించిన కోర్స్ మెటీరియల్ అందిస్తోంది. కోర్స్ మెటీరియల్ అధ్యయనానికి సహకరించే విధంగా రేడియో, టెలివిజన్ పాఠ్యాంశాల ఆధారంగా కార్యక్రమాలు ప్రసారం చేస్తోంది. అధ్యయన కేంద్రాల ద్వారా ఏర్పాటు చేసే సలహా సంసర్గ తరగతులు, సైన్స్ ప్రాక్టికల్ సౌకర్యాలు విద్యార్థులకు స్వయం అధ్యయనానికి ఒక చక్కటి అవకాశం. ఇవి విద్యార్థి సమీపంలో ఉండే అధ్యయన కేంద్రం నుంచే పొందొచ్చు.
కనీస విద్యార్హత లేదని బాధపడుతున్నారా? చేతిలో కనీసం ఒక డిగ్రీ అయినా ఉండాలనేది మీ డ్రీమా? ఉన్నత చదువులు చదవాలని ఉన్నా సమయం అనుకూలించడం లేదా? మీలాంటి వారి కోసమే ఈ అద్భుతమైన అవకాశం. అంబేద్కర్ సార్వత్రిక విశ్వవిద్యాలయం మీకు బాసటగా నిలుస్తోంది. ఎలాంటి కనీస విద్యార్హత లేకున్నా ఉన్నత విద్య అభ్యసించే అవకాశం. బీఏ, బీకాం, బీఎస్సీ ఈ మూడింటిలో ఏదో ఒక డిగ్రీ 3 ఏళ్లలోనే మీ సొంతం. వయసుతో పని లేదు, అర్హతతో అస్సలు అవసరం లేదు. ఆడుతూ పాడుతూ ఇంటి ముందుకే డిగ్రీ పట్టా తెచ్చుకోండి. మరి ఇంకెందుకు ఆలస్యం? యూనివర్సిటీ వెబ్సైట్ని సందర్శించండి.
Good afternoon, viewers. Welcome to the teleconference program of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open University. In the new COVID situation, I hope all our students, they are staying safe at home, following the precautions, taking and guidelines to prevent and stay safe from the coronavirus. This teleconference program is mainly intended for the Bachelor of Library and Information Science students of first semester. The duration of this teleconference program is 60 minutes. In the first 30 minutes, the experts will give you an overall picture of the topic, and in the next half of this teleconference program, the students are encouraged to interact with the experts to clarify their doubts. To interact with our experts, the students can call on the numbers 040-2703-1431, 040-2703-1432, 040-2703-1433. The topic of discussion for today's teleconference is the popular schemes of library classification. As human beings, we search for order in every activity. For example, at home also we arrange the furniture in certain order, and in the kitchen we arrange the groceries, everything in an order. If suppose somebody comes and asks you for a rubber band, and if you are able to give it without wasting any time, it means that this rubber, you know where it is located, and you are able to give it when it is asked for without wasting any time. Similarly, suppose you go to a supermarket or a mall, there also we find some kind of an arrangement. So, we see that men's wear is organized in one floor, women's wear is organized in another floor, and also the utility items, they are arranged in different section. Like this, we find some arrangement so that the user can directly, the customer can directly go to this particular section without wasting any time. So, similarly, the toy shop. So, if you want to buy toys for a toddler, they are arranged in a different section, and for teenagers there are different kinds of toys. The arrangement in a toy shop, mainly it is based on the age group. So, similarly in a library we have huge number of documents. So, and the documents are also of different types. So, some books, some are in the form of monographs, some are serial publications, some of them are thesis, research reports like thesis and dissertations, and some of the information is available on CDs, DVDs, so on and so forth. So, the documents are also in different formats, and the documents have different types of properties also. And some documents are published in different languages, and some documents serve the needs of different types of users. For example, the children's books, they are different from the books of elderly people. The children's books, they have lot of illustrations, they have lot of pictures, so on and so forth. So, like this, the documents also have different properties. So, when the librarian, the primary duty of a librarian is to maximize the use of the library. So, the books cannot go to users themselves. So, the librarian has to act as a catalyst between the books and the readers and to maximize the collection. For doing this, the arrangement of the books on the shelves is very important. Orderly arrangement, systematic arrangement of the books on the shelves facilitates easy retrieval of the documents. In the olden days, the arrangement was very primitive. That means, they used to arrange the books by the physical features like color, the size of the book, and also the different forms of the different physical forms. Then later several classification as they came forward, they put lot of thought into the system, and then they have come up with different schemes of library classification. So, in today's teleconference program, we will be discussing the popular schemes of library classification such as Dewey Decimal Classification, Universal Decimal Classification, and Colon Classification. To discuss this topic in detail, we have with us in the studios Dr. Divakar. He needs no introduction. He is familiar to you, and he is associated with the Department of Library Science since the beginning of the department, and also he is he served the CCMB, a premier research organization, and he retired from service, and welcome you, sir, to the studios. And another resource person we have today with us is Dr. Jayaram Reddy Garu. He is also associated with the department since inception, and he is also a counselor and your teacher. He is teaching cataloging and classification for the students of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open University. We welcome you, sir, to the studios. So, to initiate the discussion, Dr. Jayaram Reddy, sir. So, basically the arrangement of documents on the shelves is based on, number one, the type of the nature of the documents, and the user is very important for any library. So, the user's approach to information is very important, plays an important role in the arrangement of documents in a library. Can you please explain what are the types of approaches of the users, different types of approaches of the users?
All the viewers and my dear students, you all know libraries are not new to the world. They are there so many years back. Particularly in India, we have Takshashila and Nalanda are the famous libraries where they used to gather the reading materials. So, the concept of classification has been started later stages, but it was there initially in the history of the world. So, library is a place where we store the recorded information in different formats. If you take in those days of Takshashila and Nalanda, when the reading material is very less, the readers are few. The reading material is which has been Talapatra Grandalu, say writings on clay tablets or writings on copper or writings on leather, etc. And the collection is very less, and the librarian was our forefather whose duty is to clean them and keep it safe, and those are called as chained and locked libraries. And who are the readers? If it is a kingdom, the persons who can read and write, they used to come to the library. And the duty of the library is very simple in those days, because it is the duty of the reader only to search what you want. So, basically these all reading materials are arranged on their physical format, all Talapatra Granthas at one place. They may contain different subject, they may contain Vedas, philosophy, medicine, religions, whatever it may be, but they do not bother. But the main thing of the searching the book is the reader, and the reader has plenty of time in those days. So, he used to go to the library, he used to search what reading material, because the collection is very few. So, that was the concept, but later with the advancement of technology, 1545 Sir Gutenberg had invented a printing machine, and that was the process when printing has been started. And the present situation, whatever publications we are getting for the last 450 years, now we are able to publish in 1 year. That was the search. And according to the, all of you know Dr. S.R. Ranganathan, the father of library science. The 5 laws of Ranganathan are the basic concept of we are conducting a library. So, when we want to organize a library properly for the readers to get the documents, we should know the rules, the 5 laws. The first is books are for use. Suppose if you think that books are for not for use, you simply go and purchase the books, get them into the library, record in a register, and again tie it and keep it a corner. But not. The first law says books are for use. And every reader is his book, every book its reader, save the time. That is very, very important. The law save the time of the reader is the reason why the librarians are there, library science course is there, you are there, we are there. So, unless you save the time of the reader, it will not be useful for the readers, wasting the time. Therefore, based on this concept, initially the books are arranged physically, but later they are arranged based on a broad subject. And ultimately it was in 1876, Melville Dewey, the great father of library science, he was the first man who has developed a scientific system of classification. So, when we talk about user approach to the libraries, in those days you have 2 approaches. One is closed access system of libraries, the other is open access system. In those days we have closed access system of libraries. That means readers are not allowed to the place where the books are stored, and the books are stored as they like. Either it can be physical form, either it can be printed from, either it can be a broad subject. So, in that situation the reader does not go up to the book point. So, he will come to the library, he will come with a approach. His approach may be either title, either author, either subject, whatever he knows. He come to and ask the librarian, I want book on physical chemistry. So, what the librarian will do, he will go inside and see where the book on physical chemistry will be there, and that he will search and get it and issued to the reader or given for reading. But when open access system has come in, it was a challenge to the librarians, because the readers are allowed to the shelves where the books are placed. And you know that every reader cannot know all the titles of the books, authors of the books, and basically what he needs. So, his approach mostly, if you see physically and practically also, when you go and see, and even yourself, suppose you have joined in VLISC. So, your approach is library science, library information science. When you go to any library, you search books on their subject, that is library science. So, most of the readers, out of 100%, 80% of readers search the books by subject. Therefore, this was found by the librarians or the great scientists of library science. When the books are arranged on the shelves, basically on the subject wise, that will be the most useful. Based on that, initially Dr. Melville Dewey was the first man who was invented a system of classification. Later so many systems have come in, we will discuss later. So, the basic approach of the reader can be anything, but when he comes to the library, it is your duty to see that all the books on one particular subject to commit. For that, Ranganathan concept of theory was very interesting or very important, because he was the great scientist in library and information science. First he developed the theory of classification, then he started developing a scheme of classification. If you see the remaining other classification schemes, they are not basically based on the theory of classification. Initially, whatever way they need, they have developed a scheme and that was used. And according to Ranganathan, what he says is, the interest that is created in the mind of a reader makes him to go to a library, and he go on searching what information he want by author, by title, or sometimes by subject. So, when he comes and searches, it is your duty to see that all the books on that particular subject should be placed at one place. For that, Ranganathan developed a wonderful formula which is called as APUPA, A-P-U-P-A. That means U stands for umbrella. So, umbrella means all the books on a particular subject should come under this umbrella. Say for example, library science is a subject that comes there. Say within library science, again library management, administration, classification, catalog comes later. So, P stands for perennial. That means the books are which are perennial to this subject should come nearer. For example, you take physics, chemistry, botany, zoology, they are related, something related, unless you read physics, chemistry, that is. So, they are coming. Annual means the books which does not relate to this goes away. For example, arts, commerce, etc., arts, etc., goes like that. If you basically think and based on this, if you arrange the books, that will be more convenient. Even the reader come for a particular book asking for a particular author or title, but he gets the entire collection available. That is the best thing what we have seen in that. For that, there are so many great scientists of library science which developed the schemes of library science that we will discuss in later. So, ultimately, as a classifier, as a student of BLIC, it is your duty to see that all the subjects on a subject should come at one place and related subject. At the same time, we should also know the psychology of the readers, because unless you know the way they are approaching the books, even when we arrange the books on the shelves, these books should go from specific to some general to specific. For example, what Ranganathan, the classification is nothing but the translation of natural subject into artificial number. That means we translate the subject of the book into artificial number. For example, you take mathematics. Mathematics is a basic subject. The natural language is mathematics. So, when we translate it, we assign a number which is 510. 510 in DDC, if it is colon classification B. So, this stands for class number. What happens whenever we assign this number for so many books on the same subject, all that will come at a place automatically. Even a classifier means the librarian will do it, but the book bearer or everybody who is there in the library, whenever the book is, he will place the books at one place, that will be most correct. And the reader also can be easily remember. Suppose he is a student of mathematics, MPC, BSc Mathematics, he needs books on mathematics, he needs books on physics, he needs books on chemistry. So, once you know what is the basic number for mathematics, number for physics and chemistry, every time when you come to the library, you do not need to go to the catalog and waste his time. Directly go to the shelf and you search what book you want, and you will get the total collection. So, that is the best way which has been identified by all the classifications. It has been fixed for your library science, and we based on this we are classifying the books, we are bidding on the books. And another important thing is a book which is there on mathematics, it may be purchased in 1920, or you may purchase in 1990, or you may purchase yesterday 2020. All books will come at one place based on this. That is the importance of the classification. You don't need anybody to help the reader every time, every minute on the floor of the library. If you classify it and assign a number based on the classifications, there are so many classifications that we discuss in the next few minutes. But based on this, if you arrange the books, that will be the best thing. That is the system we are following in the library, madam.
Thank you very much, sir. You have very clearly explained the users approach the library with when he knows the information about an author or a title, and the most frequently used approach is the subject. So, the classification should help the user to find all the books that are on a particular subject at one place. So, Dr. Divakar, can you further take the discussion ahead? So, sir also mentioned about the relevance of 5 laws of library science to classification. Can you please further expand that and also explain the need and purpose of library classification?
Yeah, as Saroja has rightly mentioned, taking the example of a shopping mall, she said if you do not arrange things in a proper way in a shopping mall, it will be very difficult for a customer to find what he wants. Same is the situation in a library. If we do not arrange the documents in a library in a helpful sequence, the readers, whoever is entering a library, their life will be miserable. So, to address this problem, pioneers like Melville Joyi, Dr. S.R. Ranganathan and his associates have come out with what we now call schemes of library classification. So, to bring an order into the collection, we have developed over the past 130 years several schemes of library classification. So, these library classifications primarily serve 2 purposes. The first purpose is we assign a permanent number to a given document in a library. So, just as the Municipal Corporation of Hyderabad gives us a permanent door number for each one of our houses, in a library we give a permanent address to to every document that is housed on the shelf of a given library. So, by giving a permanent number to a document on the shelf, users find it convenient. At the same time, the library staff also find it very convenient, because as Jairam has rightly said, we have moved away from closed access to open access systems. In an open access system, users freely walk into the shelves and they can take away whatever book they want. They are allowed to remove the book, they can sit wherever they want, read the book and then leave it there and then go back. So, in that situation, the library staff will pick up all those documents and put them back at their appropriate, permanent, proper positions on the shelf. So, to make this happen, we need to assign a permanent address to every document. So, this permanent address, we call it as class number based on the subject of the document. We just not necessarily just give a address, there is also some meaning that goes behind the number that we give. So, apart from satisfying the physical arrangement, the class number also serves the purpose of helping the user in satisfying his subject approach. So, as Jairam has said, users come to the library with different approaches in their mind. So, some people think, oh, today I want to read something on Shakespeare. I am a fan of English drama. So, I would like to read something on Shakespeare. So, he may go to a catalog and find something, look for a class on Shakespeare. Similarly, some people may come and then I would like to see some books on birds, for example. So, generally people walk into a library with some specific targeted collection in their mind. So, to satisfy their approach, our classification schemes help. Similarly, when somebody approaches a reference librarian sitting in a library and says, sir, I want some books on snakes, where can I find? So, immediately the librarian says, this is the number for snake, you go to 590. So, 590 is the main class for zoology. Under 590, all the books are arranged like birds, snakes, reptiles, etc. So, we have a system of classification in our library. So, it's easy for a librarian also to guide the users to their respective shelves using a class number. So, in that sense, the second use of a class number is to satisfy the subject approach of users walking into a library. A lot of thought process has gone behind developing these schemes of putting a number on the documents that users find. For example, when we classify a book, it is not that we are actually classifying a physical document. What actually we do is we are classifying the thought content of that document. So, in that sense, so what we do in libraries is it is not that we classify physical books. Physical books are just carriers of knowledge. So, we are actually trying to understand, classify the knowledge as such. So, in that sense, our classification schemes all actually deal with classifying the universe of knowledge. So, in that sense, all these are knowledge classification schemes, not actually the physical book document systems or a PhD thesis document systems. So, we have gone far behind so in the process people like Dr. S.R. Ranganathan have come out with a lot of theories. So, they have visualized all these things and then they brought a lot of respect to the subject, and then all the cognitive processes that goes behind in assigning a class number are very serious. This is and classification is a very extremely serious and very thought process are involved in that, and you need to be very knowledgeable in that subject to assign an appropriate class number to any given document in a library.
Yes, sir. You have rightly said that classification involves a lot of thinking, analysis, and synthesis. So there are several, Dr. Jairam Garu, there are several classification schemes that follow that has different structures. So different mapping of the universe of subjects, and they follow different kinds of notation. So these are grouped into different species of library classifications based on the approach they have devised in developing the classification schemes. So can you explain what are the different species of library classifications?
So when we say classification is nothing but when the books are arranged, or simple terms we can say bringing like things at one place, separating unlike things is classification. Okay. So based on this, every classificationist has gone through a scientific approach and ultimately developed species of classifications. So there are basically three types. One is called as ready-made classification scheme. The second is freely faceted analytical synthetic scheme of classification. The next is faceted and ready-made scheme of classification. Broadly divided into these three, first basic classification which was developed by Melville Dewey is completely a ready-made classification scheme. What do you mean by ready-made classification? It is nothing but the universe of knowledge. What is the universe of knowledge? Whatever subject we have in the world, we are not the deciders of the subject. Suppose you study about plants, we say botany. You study about animals, we say zoology. That has been decided by the philosophers initially. So the books will come with the same titles. What the librarians have done is, they have taken a system of classification and assigned a ordinal number or a class number. So when you see the universe of knowledge, this universe of knowledge is divided into different basic subjects. First talking about the great scientist of library science who was ready-made scheme, what I am talking. But you should understand what is the basic difference between a ready-made scheme and a freely faceted scheme of classification. In simple terms, suppose you want a shirt, you go to a Charmas or some ready-made shop, and the attender will be say, you ask for a shirt, he will ask what he will ask, what is your size, and he say 36. You go and you bring 36 shirt, you wear it, it will be very tight. Then he will give a next size, that is 38. You know that 37 will not be there. So when you wear 38, it will be loose. This is tight and that is loose. So that means you should compromise somewhere. You cannot alter the size, you can alter the length, etc. So in this situation, that is called as ready-made classification scheme. When we talk about freely faceted scheme, of best example for ready-made classification scheme is Dewey Decimal classification, which is used so extensively as on today in the world. 96% of all libraries are using Dewey Decimal classification, including India, including Telangana, including Hyderabad. So coming to freely faceted classification, rejecting this concept of ready-made classification scheme. Just now I told you, in the shop, if your size is okay, otherwise you should compromise. But what Ranganathan said, why we should compromise? He said that freely faceted analytical synthetic scheme of classification is nothing but you go to Meena Bazaar or a shop where they sell the cloth. You take them 2 meters of cloth and 2 meters of pant. That can be stitched for Divakaran size, my size and somebody's size XYZ. That means you can alter it as you like. That is Ranganathan's column classification. What he has done, Melville Dewey has taken the universe of knowledge, divided into 10 basic classes, starting with 0, 0, 0. First he has divided, because in those days, who is Melville Dewey? If you talk the history of the Melville Dewey, the first great scientist of America and his father of library science in America, was a just boy of completing his degree in an Amherst College. Then he asked for a job. He has been asked in the work in the library. So there was a librarian. He is the assistant to the library. Every time a reader comes, he asks to the librarian, I want physical chemistry, I want chemistry, like that, physics, etc. And the librarian is called, Devi, come here, go and get physics book. So he will bring the book after searching 5 minutes, 10 minutes, because there was not a permanent fixed place for the book on the shelf. Wherever place is there, they used to put the books. So he used to give the book to the reader, he reads it and get back it, and he takes back and puts somewhere, wherever place is there, not the original position. So like that, it was wasting a lot of his time. Then he thought that my entire life will go like that, and what should do? He thought that I should give a fixed position on the shelf for each and every book which is there in the library. So what he has done, what books he have in his library, that he called as a universe of library. So most of the books in those days are philosophy. So he assigned 1 for 1 number. That is again notation. We say this is artificial number. So this notation is also, there are some qualities, because it should be easy to remember. If you give, suppose I can give philosophy a camera or a book or a table or a chair, symbols are also can be. It is a complicated symbol which cannot be properly recorded also. Sometimes you draw a chair, it may become table. So, based on that, easiest symbols which can be understood by the entire world is numerics, Indo-Arabic numerals, basically an Indian numerics went to Arabica called as Indo-Arabic numerals, that as is said. So, philosophy books 1, then 2 religion next, 2 religion, 3 social science, 4 languages, 5 pure sciences like physics, chemistry, botany, zoology, 6 applied sciences like medicine, engineering, etc. Then 7 the arts, 8 literature, 9 history and geography. After assigning the numbers for this, he thought that if you record one number for at one place, it may not be seen, 1 digit. So, he said that minimum there should be 3 digits, adding 2 more digits. But after assigning numbers for so many books in his library, there are some books left over. That books, when he saw, that book is more than one subject. For example, you take India Today. It contains medicine, engineering, politics, everything. So, he thought that there should be one more class, leftover number is 0, that is universe of knowledge divided by Melville. And coming to Ranganathan concept, he is having an entirely different approach. He thought that there should be more basic classes, and he selected the notation is that is mixed notation, all A to Z capital alphabets. Then numerics also he has 2 for library science. Then he has different symbols like comma, full stop, etc., etc. Melville Dewey used only 1 decimal. When we construct the number according to Melville Dewey, we put a decimal after first 3 digits, then again 3 digits, 1 decimal, like that. That was the initial rule we has gained kept, and therefore, it is called as decimal classification scheme. When Melville expired, it was named as Dewey Decimal Classification, and you know that this is the world's largely used scheme of classification. The reason is it has already revised 23 times. So, which is accepting all the subject into the universe of knowledge, because 20 years back, 30 years back, we do not have so many subjects. If you talk about engineering, in those days we have civil engineering, electrical, mechanical, but now in civil engineering itself we have 8 to 10 subjects. So, based on that the scheme is revised and the notation is going on increasing. Based on that 23rd edition is also developed. And Ranganathan concept is the basic classes are more, and there is a formula, based on that we construct it. What he has done is he has taken the universe of knowledge, divided into different subject, and each subject is further divided into its smallest unit of knowledge, say which is called as an isolate. For example, you take library science, types of libraries, then say public libraries, again under that city central libraries or cities libraries, village libraries, like that, again administration, then material, all this he has been. These are called as isolates, and he identified all these isolates into 5 types, PMEST, and a rule is given based on that this is. So, all this like that we have 8 schemes of classification, and based on that now we are using mostly DDC classification, and some parts of India colon classification, some parts of world, particularly law libraries, we are using UDC. So, based on that, madam, we are discussing about these 2,
Thank
3
you, sir. You have rightly said that enumerative classification enumerates all the basic subjects, and even the complex subjects, main classes, all these subjects are enumerated in an enumerative classification. And the best example for enumerative classification is Library of Congress education, that is and Dewey Decimal classification, I believe it is almost enumerative classification. Sir, can you further discuss this topic, your views on this enumerative and faceted classification?
As Jairam has rightly pointed out, DDC, there are 8 schemes of library classification in the world. Among them, Dewey Decimal classification is the most popular scheme of classification. It all started in 1876 by a boy called, as he rightly said, Melville Dewey, so who was working as a book bearer in an American library. The first edition that he brought out in 1876 was very small. It just was a 4 pages, just a 4-page pamphlet. It was a 42, sorry, it's a 42 page pamphlet. It has gone through 23 editions subsequently. The most recent edition came out in 2011. Currently, this is the scheme of classification. This is how it looks, the current scheme of Dewey Decimal classification.
It is issued in 4
it's
volumes.
in 4 volumes. This is how it looks. It's being used in something like 200,000 libraries of the world and in 135 countries. Currently, it is managed by a non-profit library cooperative called OCLC based in America. It started as a print edition by Dewey in 1876, but now we have an online edition of this classification scheme. We no longer need to buy a physical copy of that. This is available as an online product now, and the online product has lot of artificial intelligence built into that, and one can synthesize a class number using a software package without actually going through the pain of building a class number physically. But lot of history has gone behind this. As Jairam said, it all started in 1876, the first edition. Then the second edition subsequently came in 1885, which was slightly bulkier. And then it went through third edition in 1888, fourth edition in 1891, the fifth edition in 1891, and then during the year 1930, the Library of Congress, the largest library in the world, they started printing the DDC number on its catalog cards. And as our students know, Library of Congress had the system of bulk printing the catalog cards for the newly published book and distributing it among the libraries, especially in America and other countries. So, they started printing the DDC number also on the catalog card, so that individual libraries need not do the classification themselves. There used to be centralized scheme of classification done by the Library of Congress. This all started in 1930. Then subsequently, it ran through several editions, and Melville Dewey was a full timer. He concentrated his entire life on Dewey Decimal Classification, and he passed away in 1931. So, after the death of Melville Dewey, the American Library Association and the Library of Congress, they took over the job from Melville Dewey, and they continued the efforts of the stalwart. So, that is something great that happened when we compare colon classification and the Dewey Decimal Classification. What happened was, for the colon classification that was developed in India, unfortunately after the death of S. R. Ranganathan, we did not have an appropriate national body to continue the work of S. R. Ranganathan. So, while in America, DDC did go through that pain. It was a success story. DDC was a success story because the American Library Association and the Library of Congress, along with a commercial publisher called Forest Press, took over the responsibility of continuing the work on DDC, and subsequent editions came out. So, after the death of Melville Dewey, the 14th edition appeared in 1942, and it was very bulky with something like 1900 pages. And then simultaneously what was happening was, the libraries were also growing in size. We had small libraries, we had medium sized libraries, and we had large libraries. So, to cater to the needs of different sized libraries, so DDC publishers also thought of a need to bring out several editions.
Sorry to interrupt the discussion. There is an incoming phone call. Let us attend.
Hello.
Hello. Please introduce yourself.
Ma'am, I am Jay Satyanarayana, calling from Warangal, ma'am.
Okay. Tell me, what is your doubt? Yes. Cheppandi.
Ma'am, may I talk to Mr. Jairam Reddy, sir?
Yes, please express your doubt. Sir will answer.
Sir, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. What is your doubt? We can hear you. Come on, talk. Ask your doubt.
Sir, I have one doubt. Please explain its components with sir. Please explain its components with examples of CC and DDC, sir.
You want titles with DDC numbers?
Sir?
What do you want exactly? You want explanation?
Yeah, sir.
Please be clear. So you
What?
want with
Sir,
the help
previous
of
question actually. Sir, it's previous question actually. SDLCKU.
Tell me your doubt. You can ask your doubt. No, it is open to all.
Sir, question is define call number.
Okay.
Explain its components with examples from CC and DDC.
Okay.
okay, fine.
Call number is a number which is given for each and every book in the library. Just like your roll number. You go to a class, somebody takes attendance. Who is 55? You say, if your number is 55, yes. Like that, call number is a number given to each and every book to call it back whenever we need in the library. And this call number consists of 3 parts. Part 1, classification number. Part 2, book number. Part 3, collection number. Classification number is a number which is given with the help of a scheme of classification. For example, if the book is on library science, written by Divakaran sir, the class number is 0 to 0. The book is on library science written by Saroja madam, the class number is 0 to 0. The book is on library science or introduction to library science written by Jairam Reddy, again 0 to 0. So, whenever the class number defeats to function, we go for next number, that is called as book number. Book number is nothing but class number represent the subject of the book, whereas book number is the different physical aspect of the book. There is a formula given by Ranganathan of 11 points we did it. Mostly what we do, we give the 3 initial alphabets of the author name. Suppose Divakaran sir has written library classification, we say DIW is the book number. Saroja madam is SAJ and Jairam Reddy is JAY. So, again you can separate these 3 books now, 0 to 0 DIW, 0 to 0 SAJ, 0 to 0 JAY. But there are different physical forms of the libraries. For example, you have printed books, you have CDs, you have floppies, you have maps, etc. And when we place them in the library in different sections, that is called as collection number. Collection number is nothing but if the book is in reference section, we fix RS. That depends on your individual library and your librarian. RS stands for reference section. If it is non-book material, we say NBM, so that the reader will not go and search the entire library for this document. Okay, understood?
Thank you, Mr. Satyanarayana, for asking the very relevant doubt, for expressing. I hope your doubt is cleared, and thank you, sir, for answering the question. And we were, before the telephone call, we were discussing the Dewey Decimal classification, how it has evolved through and the various editions, how they were brought out. Sir, please continue.
Yeah, as we have seen, the Dewey Decimal classification, the current edition is 23rd. And it is in 4 volumes. It is a 4-volume set. The physical set is of 4 volumes.
So, again we have another phone call, sir.
Yeah,
let us take the phone call. Hello.
Yes, madam. Good afternoon, madam.
Good
I'm
afternoon.
Karthik, madam.
Please introduce yourself.
Madam, my name is Karthik, madam.
Karthik Chappandi.
Madam, difference between UDC and DDC.
Yeah, నేను చెప్తాను.
Yeah. We will answer your question. I request Dr. Divakar sir to answer your question. Divakar sir.
Yeah, thank you, Karthik, for asking the question. DDC, as we have said, is the oldest classification scheme developed by Melville Dewey, and DDC was developed in America. And UDC, it stands for Universal Decimal Classification. So, UDC is a scheme of another scheme of classification that was developed in Europe, specifically in Belgium to start with. You know, 2 elderly gentlemen by name Lafontaine and Henry Paul Otlet. These 2 people, they were actually lawyers. So, 2 lawyers, they wanted to organize the entire knowledge of the world available at that time. So, all this happened in around 1905, approximately around 1905. So, by 1905, DDC was already popular.
5th edition was going
on. So what did these 2 gentlemen from Belgium, they wanted to borrow the scheme and then adopt it to their work in Europe. So, these two lawyers, their purpose at that time was not really to classify books in a library. So, they wanted to classify micro documents. So, these two people started the concept of what we now know as documentation, which has subsequently transformed into what we now see as information science. In documentation, we deal with micro documents, that is a conference paper or a chapter in a book or a standard, or a chapter of a book or a patent, or a PowerPoint presentation if you go into the digital world. So, these things we call them as micro documents. So, the universal decimal classification was conceived to classify micro documents. Especially in those days there were no computers, and they were preparing large sized bibliographies. And when you compile a large bibliography, and bibliography, as you know, it's something like an accession register, just as you write entries in an accession register. So, they used to prepare a lengthy bibliography in a sequential manner, the way they receive entries into the system. So, they wanted a subject approach to the bibliography. So, and they borrowed the ideas from Melville Dewey, and they modified it to meet their requirements, and they developed the what we now call as universal decimal classification. Currently, the universal decimal classification is more suited for special libraries, as Jairam has mentioned little while ago, for law libraries, more where we need depth classification in a sense, where we need to go very deep into that. So, in such situations, for example, in India, in the CSIR libraries and in the defense research libraries, most of us make use of UDC in place of DDC, because DDC has some limitations with the enumerative schemes. So, we make use of UDC in that sense. So, it is more suited for special libraries.
Sir wants to add a few more points.
To make it simple, you may have some doubt why librarians' duty has been taken with these two advocates. So, these are the two advocates in Belgium. A client came to them and asked them to argue a case, and he gave a blank check. History says like that. And when they gave the blank check, they thought that such a big fees, what to do. Then immediately they searched, any cases are like that in their country. So, there was no list in the courts, no list anywhere, what are the cases, what are the books, etc. Then they asked America, this is a great developed country, you have any list of books? They said, we do not have. Like that, many people, UK they asked, the other countries they asked, ultimately that first we keep this case aside, and they started developing a bibliography. What this, they want to make it, they requested every country to prepare their own list in their country and consolidate it and make into universal bibliography. So, when you have universal bibliography, it is not a catalog entry, a small catalog entry. So, this list universal bibliography may contain crores of items or books. Then how a reader who wants books on economics can search such a big thing? So, then they want to add a number, a symbol on the left side, so that that can be easily identified by the reader. So, they asked for schemes of classification. At that time, they found Dewey Decimal classification as extensively used, and they requested Melville Dewey has permitted, and they are using that. But what happened? Suppose, for example, a multi document is there, agricultural economics. The title of the book is Agricultural Economics. So, here you have two subjects, agriculture, economics. If you give DDC number, as on today also, you can give to 630 for agriculture or 330 to economics. Suppose you assign 330, you are depriving 630 students, that is agriculture students. Suppose you give 630, you are depriving them. So, they thought that this should be little modified, and taking the concept of Ranganathan, they developed this UDC as a freely faced scheme by using different symbols. Okay, Karthik,
yes, we have one more phone call, sir. Sorry to interrupt you. Yes,
madam.
Yes, please tell me. Introduce
Madam,
yourself.
Madam.
Good morning.
My name is Kiran Kumar.
Yes, Kiran Kumar. Tell me, what is your doubt?
What is colon classification? Advantages and disadvantages of colon classification, madam.
Fine. I request Divakar sir to answer this question, and before answering this question, I thank Karthik for asking a very relevant question and also initiating a lot of discussion on the topic. Actually, to summarize for the question what Karthik has asked, the difference between DDC and UDC, DDC is an enumerative classification and UDC is a faceted scheme of classification, and the DDC it enumerates the subjects, and as sir said, it is meant for library classification, and UDC is developed to meet the purpose of developing bibliographies. So, now I request Divakar sir to explain the CC and the features of CC and also the advantages and limitations as asked by Mr. Kiran Kumar.
Yeah, Kiran, as you know, CC is a system of classification developed in our country, in India, precisely in Madras, in the Madras University Library, where the father of Indian library science, Dr. S.R. Ranganathan, used to work as a university librarian. So, before Ranganathan assumed the charge of the university librarianship, things were in a bad shape in the Madras University Library, and he wanted to organize the collection in a scientific way. So, he was not very happy with the Dewey Decimal Classification, because at that time, this all in the early 1900s, around 1930. So, at that time, DDC was fully enumerative scheme of classification. As of now actually DDC has moved away from the enumerative scheme to analytical synthetic, because they have introduced a lot of tables, and then they are giving provision for us to synthesize a number. So that as Jairam has rightly said, if we want to combine two subjects, then we have a facility to synthesize a number even in DC, but at that time it was not existing. So, Ranganathan found it as a problem, and then he wanted to develop a new system to overcome that problem. So, and system should be very simple and easy to synthesize. So, it so happened that as some of our students know, so Ranganathan was sent to London to learn librarianship. Yes. So, he worked under a famous guru called Berwick Sayers. Yes. So, one day Ranganathan was walking on the streets of London, and he happened to see a toy shop. Yes. And he was attracted by a Meccano set, a small set of items, Meccano set which is children's play. You buy some components and make whatever you want. If you want to make an aeroplane out of that, you make a car out of it, or a jeep out of that. Blocks. So, you buy some blocks, small box, and then make it into whatever you want. Children like to play with them. So, Ranganathan got the idea, why not I use it for building a class number in a library. So, he developed that idea, and then so basically he is the one to have this idea of analytical synthetic scheme of classification. Suppose you have a book in a library, like for example, spraying pesticides on a paddy crop. Okay. If you take this example, we have pesticide, we have spraying, we have paddy, we have crop. Okay. So, what he thought was, let us break it into 4 or 5 pieces. Okay. Agriculture is one piece, paddy is one piece, and then the pest is one piece, and then an action. You spray something to control a pest, you spray a pesticide. So, he conceived it like that, and then he said spraying is energy, because you do some kind of an action. Okay. So, he said disease, for example, a bacterial disease or a viral disease is a property. So, he called it property. So, in that way he conceived the idea of PMEST, and then so you break the subject into smaller parts and then understand that, and then again you combine them using some connecting symbols. I know Ranganathan has given us colon, semicolon, dot, apostrophe and all different kinds of connecting symbols he has given us to join the numbers. So, whereas in the Dewey Decimal Classification we just had a dot. So, whereas Ranganathan had introduced several connecting symbols, so that these individual components can be joined to make a to synthesize a number. But then that was a success story during 1930s. So, till 1970s, till the end of till the death of Ranganathan, column classification became very popular, and it has become not only popular, it has also influenced the other scheme of classification, especially the Dewey Decimal classification and the universal decimal classification. They picked up all the ideas of the great person S.R. Ranganathan, and they quickly revised all their schemes, and they converted their schemes from enumerative to analytical synthetic. So, though in a sense CC was a failure in India as a system of classification, but the theory behind CC, that is the theory of library classification. So, which Ranganathan has put in the form of prolegomena to library classification. It survives today, and then world over India got lot of recognition because of the theory that went behind the colon classification. The classification may be dead today, but the theory that went into that is still alive, and people will continue to make use of the theory for years to come.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Jairam also wants to supplement his view.
Mr. Kiran, you are asking about column classification advantages and disadvantages. So, it is the world's best and wonderful scheme of classification. I know that 6th edition of column classification is smaller than this, and that is only 300 or 360 pages, and it can classify any number of books in the library, because it is not a ready-made scheme. Simple, suppose say we three will go to somebody's house, and he is our student. Naturally, he asks for a tea. Now, at the Corona stage, he may not ask. So, if she brings and serves a tea which is very sweetie, I may not like. Divakar sir likes light tea, and madam likes strong tea. So, it is already mixed, a ready-made scheme of classification. Suppose you have milk, sugar and decoction separately, we three can be satisfied. That is column classification. And the theory of classification is so wonderful, and many schemes of classification later followed Ranganathan theory and based on it. Why it is not used now? The question is what are the disadvantages? First thing is, after Ranganathan, nobody is there such a great brain. It is a mathematical brain, Dr. Ranganathan, and a Tamilian brain. And he identified only 5 fundamental categories. Before he died, he started developing 7th edition of column classification. So, where they identified one more fundamental category, that is tool, PMEST plus tool 6. And later, after the death of Ranganathan, Professor Gopinath and others working in DRTC tried to develop 7th edition, and they could not understand properly. It has been withdrawn from the market. For example, if you go nowadays to any library, you have lot of books on computer science, say more than 50% books on computer science. There is no number for computer science in column classification. In mathematics, B, a mechanical machine 8, within brackets B, which does mathematics, is the only number given for computer science number. So, how do you classify? Out of 10,000 books, you have 5,000 books on computer science. Therefore, that is the reason why column classification.
The time is running out. We have to sum up the discussion today. So, we have discussed the different species of classification schemes, a comparative account of the DDC and UDC. We have also discussed the merits and demerits of the CC. In spite of developing a big theoretical basis, the CC could not actually be successful in India or anywhere else, because there is no updation of the scheme. So, and now the main question that revolves in our mind is, in this age of paperless society, we are moving towards e-books, e-journals and e-databases. Do we really require classification? So, this is a big question. Even I think, as this also we have Divakar sir has explained previously, that though we may not need classification as such, in this online environment, the same concepts, the same principles and the postulates that were devised by the classificationists, we can as well use in indexing and in the web environment also. So, So, with this I think we have discussed almost all the topic. I thank the experts for coming to the studios and spending their valuable time. Thank you very much, sir.